Thanks a lot for having me here today. My name is Reto Hess. I work at Accenture, based in Zurich, Switzerland. And my role at Accenture is that I really work with our industrial clients, the leadership in industrial companies, to figure out their challenges and how we can help them tackle the next technological challenges ahead of them. Good. So for our children, I think it's most important that they are understanding how to live in a world that is predominantly technology driven. Nowadays, technology is in almost everything, and it's like knowing how to put on the tap and how to let the water into your cup. You also need to understand how technology is affecting your daily life and what it means to work and live in a technological society. Right, I think with everything, it starts with the basics, with the foundations that every child should develop as they grow up. For sure, the initial connect to technology, what it means, whether that is working with electronics, working with simple code patterns, understanding complexities and assessing complexities and breaking them down into manageable pieces, is definitely one of the skills that children will need to start addressing at a very young age, as we are developing them and bringing them into an extremely complex world. Additionally, I would say understanding data and what data means, where data comes from, how data can be processed, how data can be used to actually derive analytical insights, but also understanding that data is just one thing. The analysis is still a responsibility of every child, of every human being. I think that's one of the cornerstones that will be driving the development and the education of our children in the coming years. That being said, of course, there is a lot of technological change happening at a very, very rapid pace. At the moment, everyone is talking about AI. So, of course, our children need to understand what is AI, what can it be used for, what should it not be used for, what are the lines that we should not cross when talking about AI. Kind of an ethics class as well, Ethics 101 for kids in relation to AI will be extremely important that we develop these at a very early age. And maybe the last one is critical thinking, especially looking at the world today. There's so much information. We need to be able, and our kids need to be able to understand that they need to critically assess information that they're given and understand where it's from, if there's any scientific evidence behind it, to really not just absorb information, but rather think about what they're being told. So I think one of the barriers that we've talked about before is complexity. Children being confronted with so much technological complexity makes it hard for them to really understand the details of all of them. So one of those barriers should be really that should be broken down would be how to reduce complexity and make those complex systems a lot more simpler. Simple things that the children can address in a way that they show initial successes and they can also have and celebrate their first achievements. Now, in terms of having more female candidates, I think this applies to both male and female, is really part of our educational system. We need to introduce STEM not only as an outlier or a very advanced sort of topic, but rather something that is a basic thing that all children should have from a very early age. All right, I think the gap is not necessarily a gap of one, but the gap of many. And it starts with our education systems that need to be up to date when it comes to technology and being able to really teach the technological advancement. The second one is actually the companies being willing to accept additional students sharing their knowledge with people that are coming from university, coming from an apprenticeship. And the third, of course, is also that we have a governmental setup that enables both education systems and companies to do their jobs right. And last but not least, the support of NGOs that take a step in addition to educational systems very early on in the development of our children to already raise the interest and the skills that our children will need in the coming time. I think the biggest contribution companies can make, and as my company is making as well, is to collaborate with educational institutions, collaborate with the government, collaborate with non-government organizations, and work together to create a marketplace where young talents can actually develop themselves even further, learn experiences, figure out where they belong, figure out what they're good at, what they really like, what makes them happy, what excites them at the end of the day. I think the collaboration is the most important part behind all of this. So one of the biggest trends that we see these days is artificial intelligence. It's in everyone's minds, and it's shaping the futures of the next generation. And with artificial intelligence comes a trove of different technologies and different trends that we can also address. One of them, for example, is data. Data is the underlying foundation of all that AI is doing. Without the data, AI will simply not be outputting anything. Another thing is automation. We will see a lot more automation happening. Automation in a way that is hopefully reducing the workload on the human with menial tasks, with repetitive tasks, and allowing us to work on things that are more creative, more curious things to be excited about. Don't be afraid of complexity. Break the complex pieces down and try to find and test a little bit what you like. There's so many things that you could be doing, whether that is with technology, with science, or if it's just a very creative job that is supported by technology. But don't be afraid to try things out. Try them early on and move on to the next thing if you feel that this is not something that you like. So one of the most important things to take away from this is don't be afraid of complexity. And complexity is everywhere, but that doesn't mean that we have to understand every single bit of that complexity. Instead, we can focus on smaller parts, look at those, try to understand those. Once these work, we can move on to the different, more complex topics or start analyzing larger systems. So in the end, go out there, try for yourself, see what you like, see what you enjoy, and then you will find a way forward for sure.